Hello and welcome to something I want to start called the Weekend Recap for Blade and Soul Neo. This is going to be going over some of the major stories that happened within the week, so with that, let's get into it. Our headlining story is that Blade and Soul Neo is coming to Steam, and there's a lot of controversy about this, and I have some mixed opinions. So according to the community managers, Blade and Soul Neo Steam client was one of the most requested things for the game since launch, and two and a half months later, they're finally getting to it. So looking down through the news on this, we see that they're still going to be supporting Purple, and Purple will still be a thing. However, the NA and EU servers on Steam will be separate from the NA and EU servers on Purple. I also have some questions about whether or not this means that your account from Purple will also be tied to your account from Steam, or if they'll be separate, because it matters whether you're sharing gems between the two or not. The only thing that we have on terms of the timing for this is that it's coming soon, TM. There's a lot of stuff that they've said that have been coming soon, and it always feels like it's not soon enough. Because these are going to be different servers, and because the server is starting 2 months beyond the first one, this means that the Steam servers are going to be behind the current Purple servers from North America and EU. So if you start a character there, you're going to be playing catch-up. Now, this is, of course, a good thing if you're trying to, say, expand the range of Blade and Soul and say, hey, we want more players to be in this game. We want to reach a larger audience, and Steam's absolutely a good way to do that. However, it kind of feels like this kind of misses the mark, and there's a couple of reasons why. The first reason is that the reason why people wanted Steam to begin with is that people are used to Steam and people absolutely hate Purple. I absolutely hate Purple. It took me like 3 hours just to set up my account on there because of all the email CAPTCHA bullshit that was going on and all the crazy stuff and inefficiencies within the system. But there's nothing wrong with it once you have it downloaded and you're just cruising, playing, press play. Now that everyone already has their accounts with Purple, there's less of a need to have the Steam client because everyone already has the Purple client set up, and asking players to start again at a lower level, at a lower stage of the game just feels a little weird, especially when the new players coming into there aren't going to be able to catch up because we're not going to be integrated together. We'll probably never be integrated together. It sounds like these are going to be on two separate servers entirely, and there's no way to really crossplay between those two. But some of the other concerns that people are having over this is that this might mean that the player base gets fractured even more. Some people might just go to Steam because they prefer having Steam over Purple regardless, in which case that's great that they have Steam as an option, but that also means that the current low player base that's on the servers for NA and EU is just going to get even lower. There's been a large decline in the player base over the last couple months since the game's release. Of course, it's expected that it dips a little bit, but it isn't looking too great right now. Overall, I just feel like the Steam release of this game kind of misses the mark for what people wanted, because people wanted Steam on release, and they also want to be able to play the same servers that people on Purple are playing through Steam. Having them be two separate things, possibly with two separate wallets, and all completely separate characters and everything like that, just doesn't do the system justice for what people wanted it to be. Some good news for this week. We do have some art contest winners that popped up. They ran an art contest for loading screens that would show within the game, and we have a couple winners. We have Pix from Moonwater Plains, Snail from Heaven's Reach, Alea from Moonwater Plains, Siriu from Heaven's Reach, and Blueberry from Viridian Coast, Past from Heaven's Reach, and Zhongyi from Moonwater Plains, with a runner-up being Kafuscute. I have no clue how to pronounce your name, I'm sorry. K something from Heaven's Reach. All of these arts are amazing. It's really cool to see when game companies can reach out to their art community, especially because those are the people who really enjoy the game for the fantasy idea and thematic of it over just the gameplay. And I feel like that's a separate thing that a lot of players miss, but it is a portion of the player base that should be catered to on occasion. And I feel like this is a great way to do it, and I love seeing this kind of stuff happen. I'm not an artist myself, but I absolutely appreciate the fact that they're being able to engage their art community in a way like this. And I think it's awesome. Next up, we have the bot cleanup report. Some interesting things have been happening since they released their bot cleanup report initially, and it seems like it's working. To NCSoft's credit, there are a lot less bots at all the field bosses that I see daily now, to the point where some of the daily field boss battles are just me soloing them versus a million bots and myself. On the screen, you'll be able to see they are publishing every day the amount of accounts that they're banning from EU and NA, and they've been on quite the tear, and it seems to be working. The effects of these are a bit more widespread than just getting rid of bots in the game though. I do want to mention that because the fact that the bots are all gone, these were the primary bean farmers, essence farmers if you would, for the game. All those essences you saw on market for Stalker Jiangeshi, for Sajifi, for any of the field bosses were pretty much all farmed by bots trying to get gems by selling those on market. Now that those bots aren't there anymore, there's a lot more demand for those because people are still trying to craft all their stuff using the gem powders, jewel powders, and wood fragments that they have to get from the dragon traders for all the broken crystal fragments, all that kind of stuff. And now you have a severe lack of that. So there's way more demand for those essences than there is supply anymore, and that's causing market rates to skyrocket, at least in terms of the essences. This will also have a long-lasting effect on the crafted materials on the market if this continues. While I do want to praise NCSoft for the fact that they were able to clean up the bots, I do also want to point out that this will make a lot of craftings inefficient, especially for the current prices that non-crafting materials like boss drops like Boharan Psyches and Heimujin Psyches are currently offering on market. For right now, the price of a Boharan Psyche, the price of a Heimujin Psyche is significantly lower than the price of a crafted Psyche for the same items. And what this means is that it's not actually worth it to be able to craft these Psyches because you're not actually making money on them anymore. It's almost a losing game to be able to make these and sell these because people aren't incentivized to buy them. They can just buy the Heimujin or the Boharan for much cheaper. So if you're in the middle of crafting a bunch of Psyches and things for yourself right now, I would highly suggest considering looking at the prices on the market and seeing if you can't just pick up a Boharan or Heimujin Psyche to upgrade your accessories for 70 to 100 gems. It will actually be cheaper for you than spending the gems to buy the essences in order to craft all that material yourself and use the gold and whatnot in the long run. Other news that people might have missed, the week 1 prizing for the Serpent speedrun has been doled out. It was doled out at the beginning of the week. I know a lot of people might have trouble finding it though because it's not an actual received item yet in your account. What you have to do is you have to open the F10 menu to go to the Hung Moon store and navigate to your coupons tab, and it will be a redeemable coupon for you to grab there. It's a little convoluted, I know, and I don't know why it's just not a received item for you, but there you go. In darker news, we have continued DDoSing over in the EU regions. NCSoft has issued rewards for these regions affected by the DDoSes. You're going to see things like crafting material chests, safe chests for gold, transformation stones, blessings, potions, etc. Depending on what server you're in, you're going to get more or less. It looks like Moonwater Plains is still the most heavily affected server, so they're giving out a lot of compensation for that. However, Cinderlands will get a little bit of compensation for some minor DDoSing effects that they felt as well. And finally, the state of the game is in a decline right now, at least so it seems on the outside. There are a lot of popular content creators that have been leaving the game recently. The ones that I personally followed were people like Tenten and people like Yeetus Deletus, who have posted numerous videos trying to help out the community, and they are just done playing with NCSoft and done playing Blade and Soul Neo. After speaking with a bunch of my friends on the topic about how they feel about the game and looking at how I feel about the game personally as well, it kind of feels like a lot of people are staying in this game because they have friends who are also staying in this game, or because they're still holding on to hope that it will get better. I personally am still waiting to see Warlock come out. I personally want to see more events like the current Serpent speedrun come out, maybe duo events, because I feel like the Serpent speedrun isn't enough. I feel like we should also have a leveling event or something like that to pair with it, because a lot of people feel under-leveled, especially if you're casual. As far as the actual state of the game and the general community consensus, it kind of feels like casuals are feeling pushed out of the game, especially with the Serpent speedrun event requiring a cold storage run at the end, which would be fair if everyone is on track to continue pacing with the server. I feel like there's just a missed opportunity to help them advance a little more, help them get that extra little level, that extra bit faster. A lot of people are feeling like they are plateaued in their progression. They either can't figure out good ways to upgrade their gear, or they can't figure out good ways to get the DPS. Purple skills feel too far blocked. 1 or 2 blue skills, while absolutely great, isn't going to be enough to save that. And a lot of people just feel like they are not going to be able to keep pace with the content, especially past this current patch. While not everyone cares to have to run the newest content, I know people at least like to keep up with like the semi-new content. With the fact that we have Bloodshade Harbor and Cold Storage, and half the player base can't even run Cold Storage, let's say in the next event or the next major update, Naru Labyrinth is introduced and people are still trying to clear Cold Storage, people are probably just going to start leaving the game, because it's going to feel like for a month or two in a row, all the new content they released is just unreachable, and they have a large struggle faced with them trying to actually be able to keep pace. And this is going to be something that NCSoft is going to have to figure out really quickly if they don't want to lose players. I know a lot of my friends have echoed that right now they're fine with not being able to run Bloodshade Harbor, but if more content comes out and they still cannot progress from where they are now, they're just going to quit. As a reminder, I am streaming daily for Blade & Soul Neo. You can always hit me up on my Twitch stream if you feel like asking questions or you want to figure out how to progress or want to know more about the game. I don't know everything, but I do I do a lot of research and spreadsheets on terms of where the market's at and what I can do to progress, and I feel like that information can be helpful for players who might feel stuck or might need that kind of like extra boost, or maybe just someone to play with. I'm always down to play with friends and make new ones. So with that, hit me up. So in general, I just hope to see NCSoft be able to keep making good events. I hope to see that the Steam release of the new Steam servers doesn't offset the population on the current servers, or if it does, at least I would hope to see everyone permanently move to Steam or some kind of merge between the two at some point, so that way players don't feel gypped for playing on one versus the other. I do want to see them pull in new players, and I hope the Steam release does that, but it's going to be really weird having two different servers going on back and forth, especially with people going at different progression rates. I hope that the events keep rolling in so we can keep seeing more things to help the players keep up with the current progression. And there are a couple other things that I'm probably going to mention in other videos later about the state of the game and how they run dungeons and how they've made their content versus the live servers and that such. So be on the lookout for that, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Thank you.